Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Yarn Thing podcast with Marley Bird. I'm your host, Marley Bird. You can catch the Yarn Thing podcast live every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. That's 12 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and 11 o'clock in the Midwest. If you are anywhere else in the world and would like to join us live for the broadcast, please Google what time 10 o'clock Mountain Time is for you. I do live in Denver, Colorado. You can come and join the fun. Now, even better is that now that the podcast is here on YouTube, you can always just hit subscribe to the Marley Bird YouTube channel and then make sure you click that little bell button right next to the subscribe, and you'll be notified whenever I go live or whenever I release a new video. So it's a win-win, right? Anyways, that's some great ways for you to be able to catch us live here. I want to say thank you to our sponsors, Creative Bug, Buffalo Wool Company, Aaron Lane Bags, Craftsy.com, Stitches.events, and last but certainly not least, Red Heart Yarns, where I'm the proud national spokesperson and the home of Chic Sheep by Marley Bird Yarn, which, by the way, is going into 100 Joann stores today, is what I was told. It was supposed to go in today. All 24 colors are going into Joann's, into 100 of the Joann stores. So hopefully there's one close to you, and you can go and try out some of that wonderful Chic Sheep yarn. If you would like to learn more about our sponsors, please visit marleybird.com. Click on the podcast drop-down menu, and you'll see where it says sponsors, and go and say hello. I know a lot of the sponsors, they are really curious if you guys even pay attention to the fact that they're sponsoring the show. So go say hello to them. Tell them thank you for sponsoring your favorite podcast. Oh my gosh, so much has been happening, you guys. I have been traveling nonstop, as you know, and I have had lots of wonderful guests here on the show. We've been releasing some new patterns. If you are not subscribed to the newsletter, the Marley Bird newsletter, make sure you do that, because we are letting people know about the new patterns there first. And I mean, it's just been crazy. But here we are back with the podcast, and today is a little bit different because we aren't talking about knitting or crochet, but we are talking about yarn in a different way. It's not weaving either. It's punch needle. Have you guys ever seen punch needle? I'm going to call it punch needle art because it's stunning. It's beautiful. It's one of those things that whenever I happen to see a demo happening wherever I am, I pause and I find myself standing there for at least 30 minutes watching the person do it because I think it's so fascinating and exciting. So today we have ARAUNNA, and I'm not even going to say the last name again. After all that, I've already forgotten it. I'm going to have her tell us what it is. But she is here to talk to us about punch needle, about her craft, about her art. And she has done some wonderful classes over at Creative Bug. And so we're going to say hello to ARAUNNA, who is in Toronto. And hello, how are you?
Hi, Marley. How's it going?
It's going all right. Now, how do we say your last name?
Khaunnoraj.
Khaunnoraj. Khaunnoraj.
Yeah.
Okay. I had it right, and then we had some technical difficulties, and I'm like, and then it's totally left. So I was like, all right, we're good. So, ARAUNNA, first, I'm going to ask, thank you very much for coming on the podcast today. We really appreciate it. Yes, it's cool. We just want to know more about you in general. So why don't you give us kind of like what do you like to do? How did you get into this career that you're following?
Well, I'm mostly known for my screen printed textiles. And that's what I've been doing for about 16 years. And we have a studio here in Toronto where we make all of our things. And my background was mostly in fine arts, and then I started doing textile art. And so I do embroidery and other different things. So kind of doing punch needle, it all kind of felt like it was natural to kind of go towards that, because when I first started doing the punch needle, it was a way to kind of scale up the embroidery work, because the way I use the backside a lot of the times, and so it looks like embroidery. And so here, I'll show you a piece. I have a pillow here. So this is a pillow.
Very cool.
And so you could see that on the backside, it has sort of like an embroidery quality.
Yeah.
And so what I liked about doing the punch needle work was that I was able to use a lot of colors, because a lot of my screen prints are one color. And because I make a lot of bags, a lot of the colors tend to be very neutral and gray. And so the punch needle work, the way I describe it is like coloring with yarn.
Okay.
And so it was a kind of a fun way to, show a lot of the colors, because I do a lot of watercolor paintings as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, and so a lot of the times when I start, I do the watercolors first, and then I sort of use that as like a template before I start to do the work. And so here's just one of the examples of some watercolor that I've done.
Oh,
So
cool.
I use that as sort of my starting point. And what I do is I take a look at the colors of yarns that I have, and I use that as my palette, and then that becomes my pattern for when I start doing the punch needle work.
That is so cool. So you have been really an artsy kind of person for your whole life.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so I've always been drawn to textile art, but
Okay.
I never had the patience to do something like weaving or even knitting. I'm not very good at knitting. And so I found that this was a really, like the technique itself was very forgiving. And so it was really easy to kind of learn it and do it, and you can work quickly. And that was sort of the key for me, was to work quickly.
That's fantastic. So for people who have literally never seen punch needle, like that could have been the first time they've ever seen it before. Why don't you talk us through, like, describe it, tell, like, from the very beginning, if somebody's like, hey, what is this punch needle thing that you do? Like, are there special tools? Are there special things? Like, how do you follow a pattern when you make it on your own? How does it work?
Well, with punch needle, it's really very much the same family as rug hooking. So traditionally, when you're doing rug hooking, it looks very similar to a crochet hook,
Yeah.
right? And so what you're doing is on the cloth, you're basically lifting up the yarn or the fabric to create your loops, right? So you're pulling up. And with a punch needle, this one is a Amy Oxford punch needle. And the way you create the loops with the punch needle is when you push down and when you lift up, the loops are created. So the punch needle, you're actually working on the back as opposed to the front.
Okay.
Right? So I'm just going to show you.
Yes, please do.
So this piece here is a combination of hooking and punching. So you can
Okay.
see, I don't know if you see that on the camera here, but you see how there's these sort of loops that are created when you're doing the rug hooking? So when you're doing the hooking, the loops are always from the front. But when you're working with the punch needle, you're actually working on the back side. So you're doing the embroidery stitching that I showed you there.
Uh-huh.
Then the loops are created on the opposite side. So I'll do a demonstration.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. I like both sides, and it's interesting that you can
Yeah, so
use
do
either
I.
side.
Yeah, and so a lot of the times what I do is I try to combine both the sides, like the front and the back, so you can kind of get like an interesting raised surface.
Okay.
And so there's also different sizes of punch needles too. So this one here is from Ultra Punch, and this is for like a DMC embroidery floss. You
So
can kind of,
is there a hole in that needle point?
yeah, there's a little hole, and what's great about this tool is you can see there's numbers here. So
Okay.
you could make the needle different heights. You just have to kind of push it and lift it up. See, I don't know if you can see the
Okay.
needle.
Yeah.
And so it's not just thick yarn. You could use, you know, embroidery floss. And this tool, I find it works really well with finger weight yarn.
Oh, wow.
And so you could pretty much use any type of yarn. And this is the actually complete set that Amy sells of all the different sizes. So the tools, the way it works is that the different, you can see this one has different heights. So this determines the height of the pile of the loops. And then the thin and thick needles determine the type of yarns. So this would be more for like a worsted weight, and this would be more for like a bulky weight.
Okay.
So you would use, that's the only reason why you would change like the different yarns and tools. And so what, so should I show you a demonstration?
Yeah, but I have a question first. The height of the needle itself, as opposed to the handle, what determines that, and what does that affect?
That affects the height of the loops.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
pile. So the loops, they call them pile.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then
so
it looks so there's a hole in that needle, so the yarn goes through that?
Yeah. And so the way I thread it, I'll show you how I thread it. So I'm taking this yarn here, and this one, because it's a thinner gauge yarn, it's got this little eye at the top, and that eye just kind of helps your yarn to stay in. And what I really like about Amy's tools is, do you see how there's that slit there?
Yeah.
slit makes it really quick and easy to thread. And so then what I do is I thread it through the eye. I don't know if you could see that very well. This yarn is very fluffy, so it's hard to get. So I put it through the eye, and so this is what it looks like threaded.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see
Oh,
that.
cool.
So essentially, when you're punching, I guess it works kind of like a sewing machine. You know, you're just sort of going up and down with your hand, and then that yarn just kind of creates this continuous loop. So there's no knotting or tying. It's just one continuous loop going up and down, up and down.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
So that's what confuses people, is because there's no knotting or tying.
Right. Some questions in the chat room. People are asking, what types of materials can you punch needle on?
Well, with a punch needle, that's the hard part that people have, is the fabric. So traditionally I use monk's cloth, but you can use sort of like a rustic linen. So you just need a fabric that has like an open weave. So you couldn't use something like cotton or linen or canvas, like something that's too tightly woven, because what would happen is you would just create a hole.
Yeah.
But that little tiny tool that I showed you, you can use that on linen.
Okay.
It's so thin. You can use it on linen and cotton. And then the hook, the traditional rug hooking hook, you could use something like burlap.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said rustic linen or monk's cloth?
Yes.
Okay. And then as far as the different yarn or thread, literally just, I would guess
anything.
Yeah. Have you tried to do it with like actual fabric?
Yeah. So that sample that I just showed you, I don't know if you could see it. It's kind of quite dark. See this green?
Yeah.
That's cut jersey, like your
cool.
material.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah. And then these bits here are cut wool. So you can use pretty much anything that goes through the tool.
That's so neat. Somebody is asking, would you be able to use like a simple crochet fabric or a knitted fabric?
I have tried a woven fabric and it does work, but it's not perfect.
Okay.
I think the best thing is to kind of experiment. But the issue that you will have if you don't have the right fabric is that the loops, this continuous loop that I'm talking about, won't stay in.
Okay.
It'll pull out.
All right. That kind of leads me to the next question then. Go ahead. Continue with what your statement was.
Well, basically the way it works is that, you know, you've got this sort of a open weave fabric. The yarn goes in and then it kind of, you know, spreads open the weave and then it kind of goes back in and then it holds the yarn.
Okay.
So if you don't have this fabric that has this movement, then you're basically just creating.
Oh, you froze. You froze. Hold on. You guys there? I don't know what to do. She froze. And so I'm hoping that she's able to call back in. So now it's back to me. Yeah. Caitlin just told me to switch the camera back to me. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I just did. Hopefully it works. Hopefully you're getting me. I am gonna see if let me see if I can get her to call back in. Let me contact her again. Woo! Love technology today, people. Froze. Let me tell her. It froze on me. Try to reconnect. All right, so I'm sending her that email asking her to try and reconnect. So far, so fun, right? I literally have never I've never done it. I have seen it done. Like I said, when I was at like TNA or some Stitches events, they have people there punch needling and it looks so cool. And yes, I had asked ARAUNNA. Oh, she just disconnected. And so hopefully she's coming back in. I asked her to do a demo. I know I keep asking questions. So hopefully we will get to that for sure. Cause she's pretty cool. So let's see here. Dawn Tennyson, where can I get the yarn and punch needles? I will ask that question because I don't even know. I don't know. So I will make sure I ask that questions. Ask that question. Colleen Freeman, nothing is perfect. That's the beauty of handmade. Absolutely. Donna Davis is asking, what is happening? There was a glitch. I don't know what. Let's see. Luminaria, can you do more crochet project videos, please? I do as many as I can, girlfriend. I have a list of knitting and crochet projects that I have that I need to do. And so I try and keep those as varied as possible. Valik Sublis says, can you use very thin yarn and thread? Yes, she was showing us that blue tool earlier that she said she's able to use DMC embroidery thread with that. And that was, I'm sure that would be beautiful too, something really intricate. So I'm just checking to see if she has emailed me back. She hasn't emailed, she hasn't connected back in yet, so she might have technical difficulties on her end this time. Dawn Tennyson is saying she has made one with embroidery floss and it was really fun. I bet that's beautiful. I bet that's beautiful. Let's see here. Shannon McDowell, sorry. She says, I've seen them on Etsy. I have too. Etsy's like a rabbit hole that when I go in, I'm in there for ages. Do you guys find that it's the same way? Like Etsy is just, I love Etsy. There's so many really great things, so many wonderfully talented people on there. Penny Herbert is saying another project to try. Yes, it is another project to try. I'm going to ask Caitlin. First off, Caitlin, hi. Say hi to the boys. Hello, boys. Welcome to the Marley Bird Show. If you guys don't know, Caitlin's so cute. She puts the podcast up on the TV and her little boys watch the TV and wait for me to say hello. So hi guys. It's a lot of fun. So Caitlin, I'm going to see, maybe you can connect with her. Maybe she's able to connect with Arona, and see if she's able to come back. Hopefully she is, guys. I hope so. I was really enjoying that conversation. Oh, here she comes.
Oh,
hi, are you there?
There's
Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. I don't know why she's on mute. Oh, you're still on mute. There you are.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
We had this really bad storm, and I think my internet just kind of wiped out.
Oh, okay. No problem. It was breaking up here and there every now and again. It wasn't so bad, but then all of a sudden you completely froze, and I was like, I don't know. If it happens again, at least we now know what to do. You just hang up and call back in, kind of thing.
Okay, great.
But everybody is like, oh, I hope she comes back because they want to know more. So I forget you were talking about the fabric, how you have to have it, how it opens when you go in and it closes back on itself.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
you're making sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to scroll back.
And fabrics like 8 o'clock doesn't work very well.
Okay. So one of the questions that Lynn has, she says, if there is no knotting, what happens if a loop gets cut? Will it rip out the whole thing? Will the whole thing unravel?
Well, I mean, it will unravel if you pull it, but if you can imagine, like when you do a row, it's quite sort of, weak, but then the more you add, it gets stronger and tighter. So there's like the tension kind of holds it all in.
Okay.
And then if you ever have a loop come out, you can always trim it or you can just repair it. It's not it's not like with knitting where you're kind of pulling and then the whole thing kind of falls apart. It would just be like a section.
Okay. All right. And then Ruth Maxwell wants to know, how was the stitch anchored? I can imagine it would unravel when pulled. So same sort of question, but maybe that the question is, how do you finish it all off? Is it just left with a longer string or how does that work?
You just trim it.
Okay. So cool. So cool. People are begging me to have you demo. They're like, shut up, Marley. I want to see how this is done.
Okay, I can demo. There was a piece that I was working on, and I'm going to just do a little section. I'm going to undo part.
I love it. While you're doing that, I'll just talk a little bit. So one of the questions that people are going to ask is, where can they actually find kits or the tools to do this stuff? And I would mention, I was like, I've seen it done places, but I've never bought any, and I've never seen it out in the wild as far as like a Michael's or anything. But full disclosure, I've never looked for it, so I'm not sure. Oh, she froze again, guys. I think I'm sitting here waiting for her to answer, and I think she froze again. She's in Toronto, and she said that there's a terrible storm going over right now. Like it's really clogged up and everything. So that could be what's going on. Sorry, guys. So we'll just make time. We'll make time for her. Good things are worth the wait, right? Let's see. So, any questions for me? How about this? Last weekend, here's a cool thing. Sort of side note. I went to Indianapolis. I was meeting up with some of my girlfriends that I've had since high school. And we're discussing some various business things and stuff that we could do together. But we also had a great time just hanging out together and being together. And it was just a reminder of how special it is to find those. It's like it's your selected family, you know what I mean? You have your family, but then your friends are like your selected family. And I had a really wonderful time out there and a really great opportunity to do some planning and some reflecting. And I have really great things planned coming up in the future. So it'll be really great. So let's answer some of your questions while she's frozen. Hopefully yep, she just disconnected. So hopefully she'll come back here soon. Let's see here. Amanda White. Is there a way to find out which Joannes will carry Chic Sheep? A master list per se. So the answer to that, Amanda, is yes, there is a master list, but no, I'm not allowed to share it. I know it seems counterintuitive, but it's just one of those things I was told I'm not allowed to share. So I know that Caitlin and I are going to do our best that whenever somebody's like, hey, I live in, you know, Cleveland, Ohio. Is there one close to me? And we're able to look it up. If we're able to, we'll try and do that, but there are no promises, but we'll try and do our best. I really wish I could share it. And I'm not allowed to. So right now, my best option is just kind of saying, I hope it's there. I know. Hopefully it sells so well that they love it and they want to put it in all the stores and we don't have to worry about it only being in 100 stores. That's the goal, right? That's the goal. We want that to happen. So we will see. We will see. Oh, I'm so bummed. Here's the deal, guys. If Arona cannot get back on today because of the thunderstorm, we will reschedule her and have her come on. Man, something is itchy in my eyebrow. We will reschedule her and have her come on because I'm really interested in all this. I really want to see the demo. I want to talk to her about different things that this can apply to. So hopefully this will all work out and she'll be able to get back on here. Somebody is in Sarah Dawn. She says, yes, there's a thunderstorm warning here in Toronto. So I'm sure that's what's going on, guys. She's having some trouble there. So I'll stay on here for a couple more minutes just to answer some questions. And then I'll just reschedule with her and try and get her back on later because this is interesting. Let's see. Oh, maybe she's coming on now, but her mic is on mute. Make sure she knows.
I switched to a different computer.
There you are.
This
I just can't see you. I can hear you. I just can't see you.
Okay.
You know what? It's all right. I was telling the audience, I'm like, first off, Mercury's in retrograde. Second, you have a thunderstorm. I mean, it happens. Life will go on. We could even reschedule this if it doesn't work out and have you back on. Like it will be fine. No worries whatsoever.
Can you hear me though?
I can hear you. I just can't see you.
I have the camera on, but it doesn't seem to want to work.
I just have a really pretty image of some flowers.
It's not letting me put my video on for some reason.
It's because, the technology doesn't want to help us in this day. Oh, she's gone again. All right, so let's see. Lynn says Hobby Lobby here in Huntington Beach only has a few colors of Chic Sheep, not all of them. Hopefully Joanne's will have all of them. So Lynn, you are correct. Hobby Lobby only picked up 8 colors. So 8 of the 24 colors are in Hobby Lobby. And in each Hobby Lobby across the nation, they only put 4 balls of each of those 8 colors in store. Now, the Joann stores, the 100 Joann stores that they're putting the yarn in, they are putting in all 24 colors. So all of the yarn will be available there. Now, the crazy thing is yes, it is available at Joann.com. It is available at redheart.com, Hirschners.com, loveKnitting.com, Michaels.com, Amazon.com, like any sort of .com you want to try it, it's available there. But I know many of you have been waiting for it to get in stores. So having said that, I don't want you to be deceived and think that you can get it at Michaels, because right now it is not available in stores at Michaels. Michaels has not picked it up here in America. I was told that they're putting it in Michaels Canada, but I haven't heard anything about here in America yet. So Joann's and Hobby Lobby really are sort of the test. It's like, do people want this yarn? So hopefully they do. Whenever you're at the store, if you happen to see it, make sure you tell everybody about it, how wonderful it is. That would be great. Arona, I have your face. I don't have volume.
Okay,
There
how's
you
that?
are. I got
Oh my gosh. We should try to see if this works.
Let's see if it works. If not, we'll reschedule and figure it out.
Okay, so
okay,
I was going to demonstrate on how this works.
All right.
So I don't know if you could see. I'm in a different room, so it's a little bit darker.
That works.
Okay, so you could, I don't know if you could tell, but this side here is more sort of an embroidered side.
Okay.
And then this is actually my good side, because this is going to be a pillow.
Okay.
And you can see that the loops are a little bit different here. It's a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to work from the back. Maybe I'll lift this up so you can see it better.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. So you're pushing through, and I don't know if you could see it coming through on the other side.
Yeah.
And so that's how the loops are created. They're just sort of being pushed through, and then as you lift up, that's how the loops are created. So when you're punching, you have to make sure you push all the way down so that all the loops are nice and even.
I'm in awe on how the loop just doesn't just come right back through the fabric when you pull up. Like, it still stays there.
Yeah, and it's because I have like a really good flow of yarn.
Okay.
So you don't want your yarn to kind of be
restricted.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the same as when you're knitting and stuff. You want your yarn to be flowing pretty nice and free.
Okay. And then you're just going around in a circle. You're not necessarily going through one opening of the fabric into another. You're just going around filling in the space.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
And then to finish it off, I just sort of cut it. And I don't know if you could see all of it. I can go and do a little bit more.
It's cool.
Yeah, and so you know, it's quite quick, like when you're doing it, and you know, it helps you to kind of achieve you know, a nice sort of picture without sort of like a framework like you would you know, weaving or something like that, because weaving you would have to kind of work within like a certain type of framework, and that's what I liked about it. And the funny thing was that this kind of started, sorry, I'm trying to hold this and thread at the same time. This kind of started because I thought this would be a good way to use up all my sort of leftover yarns. And then, of course, you end up buying more yarn because
absolutely,
because you're like, well, that's not the right color or the right type of yarn, and so you know,
so when you draw the stuff, like, or use the watercolor and such, then do you like trace that out on that fabric then, so that way you're following a pattern?
Yeah, so you end up you trace it out, and in my creative bug class, I show you also how I create my designs. And so, you know, you could buy patterns online if you want to. I sell patterns on my web shop. But it's really easy. You could even do something really abstract like this pattern where it's just dots. Like, there's nothing really specific you have to do. It's just whatever you would like to do. And yeah, so can you see it all sort of filling in?
Yeah, it's all filled in great. I'm curious what the other side looks.
So the other side is more of, so like you would just sort of, I don't know if I could do this well. It's like you just move like this.
Okay, so you're literally, it's like you're doing a spiral.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so cool. People are saying they could watch this all day long. And I even wrote, I was like, this is so gratifying. Like there's something soothing about watching it
Oh
done.
yeah. And working on it too, it's very meditative. Like you're just sitting there and you're just, punching away, and it's a great way to kind of release any sort of, pressure you have. It's
I
just
love it. I love it. Now the frame that you had around that, I'm assuming it's sort of like an embroidery hoop sort of thing, like it's
no.
holding it in place.
Well, Amy sells. I'm just trying to grab a wooden frame here. Amy sells this thing called a gripper frame, and they're kind of expensive. But what's really good about it is that if you're doing it often, it makes stretching and removing really easily. So I could show you, like you just peel it off,
Oh, cool.
and it's kind of like tiny little nails. They're actually kind of pokey,
Yeah.
and then it just comes off really easily.
That is so cool.
Yeah, but you could use like a non-slip hoop or something like that. I wouldn't necessarily use an embroidery hoop, but you essentially just need like a wooden frame like this, and then the monk's cloth looks like that, and then you just stretch it onto the wooden frame with a staple gun.
That is so
And then
cool.
you have it. And the interesting thing is the reason why I like the gripper frame is not the stapling, it's actually the removing. So you're not removing like hundreds of staples.
Yeah.
Because the stapling process is quite easy. It's just sitting there pulling all the staples out.
Right. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Now, once you make the pieces, once they're all done, so this is where for me embroidery or cross stitch or anything loses my interest, because I'm like, okay, great, I have this piece, I have this little piece of fabric, I've designed on it, or I've done what I need to do. Now what am I going to do with it? Like I don't know what to do with it. So that's where
Yeah.
I'm like, I think cross stitching and embroidery and whatnot is beautiful, but there's only so many things I want on my walls. There's only so many pillows I want. Like I'm like, what do I do? Whereas I'm like, I can make sweaters and scarves and all sorts of, you know what I mean? So what do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do with the pieces?
Well, I mean, the pieces, yeah, like I've made bags from them, pillows, like you're saying, the wall art. I've also made sort of, I'm actually working on a book that's
Okay,
coming out in the spring, and the book has 20 projects of what you could do. So there's a lot of things that you could do with it.
cool.
I've also done for the book. I'm doing like obviously a rug. You can make a rug. We made a bench cover, so a lot of things for the home, and like I've made sort of like a hair barrette, like some jewelry pieces. But yeah, lots of different types of different things that I think it's a fun way to explore. But yeah, you can. And then also, we also did one piece that I thought was really cool, where it was actually a really large blanket, and then we did a design. It was like a wool blanket, and we did the design with the smaller punch tool that I showed you on there. And then also, I've done some pieces where I've done the technique with the smaller punch tool on clothing.
Very
So
cool.
there's lots of different, it's just, for me, I find what's fun about it is more the exploration of the different types of materials and yarns that you get to use,
Okay.
and then playing with how you can design things, because, for example, like when you're knitting, you don't really get to design sort of like a motif or a picture so much so. And it's much easier to achieve an image that way. So I feel like it's a fun way to explore things like that.
Very cool. So we have a couple questions. One, this is from Lynn. She said, when you're doing the punch needling, are you twisting your needle as you go? Like, are you rotating it, or is it just straight down and back up?
I am rotating it. So when you're working with the punch tool, do you see the slit that's on there?
Uh-huh.
You want to go the same direction as that slit. And
So,
like if you're going around the corner, you do rotate.
okay. All right. And then people are saying they could watch this all day. That it's so neat. Yarning for Smiles. She's saying this is so cool. How would you fix it? So I know that you had said you can go back and, just snip something if it got snagged and then redo it. Is it just literally that easy?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Wow.
Sometimes like for like the DMC floss that I use, the finer one, I do put a little bit of like a iron-on interfacing, or I glue the back so that the loops don't come out, because the cotton, it tends to be a little bit more of a smoother material. Doesn't have a lot of doesn't have a lot of friction to kind of hold it in. So I do tend to do that with the thinner cottons, but the wool, it stays in really well. The joke that I always mention at workshops is people always ask, well, what happens if I pull it out? And I always tell them, don't pull it out.
Yes,
Because
exactly right.
it's like, so, I mean, or they'll say things like, well, what if my cat starts scratching at it? Well, why is your cat scratching at your pillow? Like,
Yeah.
so, I mean, it doesn't pull out unless you actually pull it out. Like if you're using it as a pillow and you're sitting on it and using it, nothing will happen to it.
Right.
And then if you do get a little snag, you could snip it or redo that loop.
Very cool. Violet
Yeah.
is asking, could you make appliques? Like, so a separate applique, I
Yeah.
guess, then, and then just sew it onto a
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah, definitely you could do that.
This is so cool. I love it so much.
Yeah, some of the things that I want to experiment with later on is do some where maybe the monk's cloth, I do some painted areas, and then you can kind of embellish some of the areas with the
Yeah.
texture. Or you could use it, like she said, for applique and sort of put that in with different pieces.
Very cool. Very cool. Amanda White is saying, did I hear that right? That she has a creative book class. Yes, Amanda, you did. And then they're excited. They want to check out your new book. Do you want to give them a pitch on your creative book class? That way, if they can go there and check it out. Creative Bug is a sponsor of the podcast.
Well, Creative Bug has the week free and today's the last day.
Yes. Yes.
And so they can go and sign up, and there's no credit card required. So you could definitely go and check out my workshop. I think it's about an hour long, and I take you through the steps of how to design. I take you through the steps of the different materials, how to stretch your frame, and then also the step-by-step on how to create it. But it's a really fun class, but it's very thorough. So you'll get all the information all in one place.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So now the question of where do people go to get the very awesome items? Like where you said Amy, I think is what you said, the needle. And where could people purchase that stuff?
Well, I think her website is the Oxford company, but we sell it as well at
okay, perfect.
Yeah, we sell it, and we also sell the fabric stretched. And then we also sell some of my designs, the drawings. So you could just download those drawings and use them. And I usually don't sell yarn because everyone always has some type of yarn stash, or you can get it locally.
What's your website? I want to type it in the chat room so people have it.
It's BOOKHOU.com.
BOOKHOU.com. How do you pronounce that?
And also, Amy Oxford has some really good YouTube videos as well.
All right. Awesome. I love this. This is so awesome. This is just fantastic. I love the idea of mixed material, mixed art, like the what you said about painting on there or something, and then embellishing stuff. Like that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And then also playing around with a lot of these sort of techniques like quilting and rug making were sort of born out of using up materials from the home, sort of upcycling a lot of the stuff. So it's I find that experimenting with different fabrics would be fun, just to kind of like some old clothes or some old bed sheets and using up those materials in different and unique ways and combine that with different yarns. I think it's a good way to kind of experiment with. And so, I wanted to show you, this is actually from the book. So this is a pouch that is from the book. It's a project.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, and it's got like a little a zipper on it. And I don't know if you could see, but do you see how the round yellow flowers are raised?
Yes.
So I was just sort of playing around with that, with the front and the back, and then you're flipping the frame back and forth, and then the flowers become this sort of nice raised texture. So those are some of the fun ways that you can play around with the textures.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. That is neat. See, now that makes sense to me. That's not something hanging on my wall. Like I could handle like making quite a few bags and stuff. Like that's just fantastic. So many people are so excited about all of this. They think you're fantastic, which is nice.
Also for the bag, some of the things that you could do too, because you could take some of the smaller pieces that you do and actually applique that onto a bag, like it's the pocket or something, onto a bigger bag. So you don't necessarily have to punch an entire bag. So, it's really doable.
But that's cool. I love it. I love how abstract you can make it, or how intense, however intense you want it to be. Like that's really, I just think it's fascinating. Well, it's the time of the show that we give away prizes. I know you have something to give away to a live listener and to
Yeah.
somebody who's leaving a comment on the blog.
Can you grab me the two things again? Sorry. I had to move different spaces, so I have to grab the prizes
Hey,
and
we gotta do what we gotta do.
And so are we doing the live one first?
We're going to do the live one first. So while you're collecting your thoughts and all that stuff together, I'll tell everybody, hey, if you're listening live, welcome. Thank you for sticking it out with us through some technical difficulties. And so if you're live right now, where it's 11 o'clock my time right now, and you're in the chat room, I want you to write, I want to win. Okay. So make sure you type in, I want to win. And if you could do me a favor and like this video, that would be really helpful. Because people, you know, they tend to go to videos that other people like. So that would be great. So make sure you type, I want to win, and make sure you've liked this video. And what you're doing is you're entering for a chance to possibly win a wonderful prize from ARAUNNA. So she is holding up a cute little bag right here. And this bag can be used as a yarn bowl. Look how cool that is. So we will randomly select one winner for this cute little bag. And I'm going to let ARAUNNA tell us a little bit about it.
So it's screen printed with one of my signature prints, the triangle, and you can kind of have it hold up like this way, or you can fold it down. So you could add a little bit more yarn, or you can fold it down. And I think it's just really great because it's fabric. So if you're traveling and knitting, you could fold this up and put it in your bag and then use it. And then also it's great for other things around the house too if you don't want to use it for yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, most of us will use it for yarn, whether knitting or crochet. It'll be awesome. So what we're going to do now, ARAUNNA, is I am going to scroll up and down all of these lovely people. Actually, we're going to give them a couple more minutes because they're still putting they're still listing the I want to win. So I'm going to let them do that.
Okay.
Excuse me. Have it. Something in my throat. So what I will do is I will scroll up and down all of the names. You tell me where to stop. Wherever I stop, wherever my cursor is, that person will be the lucky winner.
Okay, tell me when you're doing it.
I'm doing it now, so you just tell me when.
Okay, stop.
Oh, that was fast. Okay, that's right. That is Sassy Amagurumi. So I don't know who that is, but Sassy Amagurumi, congratulations.
Congratulations.
So yeah, congratulations. You get the really cool bag you can use as a yarn bowl. Pretty awesome. And so what I need you to do is email me your mailing address and phone number to winner@yarnthingpodcast.com. That's winner@yarnthingpodcast.com. And then ARAUNNA, I know that you have a prize for somebody who leaves a comment on the blog. So let me tell them how that works. If you are not listening live, don't worry. We know that life gets in the way and you can't catch us live every time we go live on air, but we do want you to have a chance to win a prize as well. So after the podcast today, the show notes for today's show will be up over at marleybird.com. I'll be sure to put a link to those in the video description box of this video. If you click on that link for the show notes, you'll see a link to the website, various things that we might have talked about. And at the bottom of that post, you'll see where it says leave a reply or leave a comment. And you're literally going to leave a comment with the keyword punch needle, right? Is that what it was? Yes, punch needle.
Yes.
Punch needle is going to be your keyword. And once you leave that comment, that's sort of your entry ticket for a chance to win a prize from ARAUNNA. She'll show us here in a minute. Now, I do love your comments on Facebook, on YouTube. I love your comments on YouTube. I love them on Instagram. I love them on Twitter. I love them everywhere. But we choose a winner only from the comments on the blog because we want to keep everything in one place. So if you want a chance to win, you must leave your comment on that blog. And we pick a winner about 4 to 6 weeks after the air date of the original podcast. So you have a lot of time to go back and leave your comment. So don't be shy. Go leave your comment for a chance to win what, ARAUNNA?
Our box tote. I don't know if I can show this on camera.
That's cool.
It cinches on the side there, so you could make it bigger. I don't know if I could show this.
Very cool.
It's one of our most popular bags. It's got a nice flat bottom, so it could sit down when you're working on a project, and it's big enough to hold if you're working on a sweater.
Okay.
So it's perfect. And
awesome. I love the leather handles.
Yeah, it's got beautiful vegetable tan leather handles that get darker as you use it, and it just develops a really nice patina. But it's my favorite bag too. I love it because I like how you could cinch it in and it sort of holds all your yarn really nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that's what you are leaving a comment for a chance to win, everybody. Once again, the show notes are always available at marleybird.com. You can always just go there, click on the drop down menu for podcast, click on show notes, and find the show notes for whatever show you're watching. You can always do that. And then just make sure you include whatever the keyword is for that particular show. But the keyword for this show is punch needle. So make sure you leave that in the show notes. And that's how that works. So let's say congratulations one more time to Sassy Amagurumi, who won the really great little tiny tote, and super cool. I enjoyed the podcast. I wish the technical difficulties didn't happen on both of our ends, right? What do we do? But we got through it, and seriously, very fascinating. I love doing this, and I love the fact that you do have a creative bug class. Today is the last day for free, like a free day of Creative Bugs. If you want to go check it out, guys, and you fall in love with Creative Bug like we all have, you will be in there. It's not that much money a month if you decide to continue on with Creative Bug, and it's so worth it. So worth it. I love it. Arona, thank you so much for joining me on the show. It was a pleasure. It was a delight meeting you. I hope I get to run into you sometime.
Yes. Take care.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to say thank you to everybody else. Make sure you check out the show notes. I'll put a link in the video description box. That way you can check it all out. Congratulations to Sassy. And yeah, there you go. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.